Hi, this is Mahesh Kambli again. Hi, this is Mahesh Kambli again, and welcome back to my channel one more time. Today, we are going to look into how to solve quadratic equations or how to teach quadratic equation to students. I hope you have seen the earlier demo of how to use the tool. So I'm not going to get into navigational part of this tool. If you have not seen that demo of that tool, please watch that video before you watch this video. So let's get back to the business. So here what we will do is we will first go to concepts. Okay, what is quadratic equation? It is the equation in the form of ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. If equation is written in this form, it is called quadratic equation, or you can also call it a second degree equation. What is the meaning of second degree equation? The degree is what is the highest power of x. In this case, highest power of x is 2. So that is the reason this particular equation is also called second degree equation. Okay. Now, what this equation represents? This equation can be transformed into two equations. One line equation and other one is equation of a parabola. So this quadratic equation always represent, or it can be or there two equations can be derived from this equation, out of which one equation is parabola and second equation is line. Now how do we do that? Okay, before that, what do you mean by solving quadratic equation? When you say we have to solve quadratic equation, means you have to find out all the possible values of x which satisfy this equation. What does that mean? If you find out a value of x and you replace that value in this equation, which is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, left hand side should be equal to 0. That means it has satisfied the equation. So that is what you have to do. But just to let you know that in quadratic equations, there are only three possibilities. Possibility 1, you cannot find out values of x. That means these values are not existing or these numbers are imaginary. So that is one possibility. What is the second possibility? Second possibility is you can get only one possible value of x, a single number. You cannot have more than one number. And the second possibility of quadratic equation is there are two possible values of x which will satisfy this equation. So once again, there are three possibilities. One is you cannot solve this equation, or you cannot find out any value of x which can satisfy this equation, or you have only one value which satisfies this equation, or x has two possible values which satisfy this equation. Alright, now to solve this equation, there are multiple methods. First method is graphical method, second method is formula method, third method is factorization method, and fourth method is square method. So let us first talk about graph method. Now, if you look at line number 4 here, I have shown you how this equation can be transformed into a line equation and a parabola equation. What you have to do here is you have to keep your x square on the left hand side and you move everything on the right hand side. So if you assume your a is 1, that is x square's coefficient is 1, then in this case you can write x square is equal to minus bx minus c. Or if a is not equal to 1, then this equation will become x square is equal to minus b by ax minus c by a. So you have to keep x square on the left hand side and everything else you have to move it on the right hand side. Okay, once you do that, then just assume that x square is equal to y. So that is your first equation. Y is equal to x square. And since x square is also equal to minus bx minus c, or minus b by ax minus c by a. That is your second equation. In this case, we have taken a is equal to 1. That is the reason you got two equations, y is equal to x square and y is equal to minus bx minus c. Look at the row number 4. Now, what is y is equal to x square? It is an equation of parabola. It's a curve. Same way, any equation which is written as ax plus by plus c, which is a single degree equation where power of x is 1, power of y is 1. So these kind of a equation, ax plus by plus c, represents line. That means, what does that mean? If you take xy pair and you draw graphs, then this particular equation's graph will be straight line. And the equation's graph y is equal to x square for 10 pairs of x and y, this equation is equation of parabola. So this is the way from one quadratic equation you can derive two equations and then draw the graph. Alright, once you draw the graph using 5 or 10 xy pairs for respective equation, what you will observe is that these two curves or these two graphs, one is a curve and other one is line, they will intersect with each other and you will get 2 points of intersection. If you get 2 points of intersection, then the x coordinate of those 2 points represents your solution. Those are the two possible values of x. Or those two graphs will intersect into a single point, and that single point intersection meaning that particular quadratic equation has only single value. Or both the graphs, the parabola or the curve and the line, both of them will not intersect anywhere. That means in this particular equation you cannot find out the values of x. This is imaginary equation, or the number x is imaginary, or it does not exist. So this is basically what you do in graphical method. So let's now leave the concept aside and let's take a look at actual example. Let's go to factorization. Here it is. Now, in this case, as I said, for teaching purposes, we will be using specific examples. Here I'm going to choose example 2, which says that classroom teaching, and it will be used for graphical method. Perfect. We have selected the sum. Now let us look at the graph. We are not going to look at anything else here. Other methods, simply graph. Let's go to the graph. Okay. Have you seen what has happened here? Okay. What is your original equation here? Your original equation as per the sum is 1x square plus 4x minus 5. Now that equation we have transformed into x square is equal to minus 4 by 1x, because here value of a is 1. So that is the reason, and you transfer 4x on the right hand side. So x square is equal to minus 4 by 1x minus of minus 5 by 1. Now once we've done this, as I said, one of the equation will always be y is equal to x square. And the second equation in this particular case became y is equal to minus 4x, because minus 4 by 1x is 4x minus 4x plus 5. Minus of minus 5 by 1 is plus 5. So this equation becomes y is equal to minus 4x plus 1. So minus 4x plus 1 plus 5, I'm sorry, is your equation of line, and y is equal to x square is equation of parabola. So now in this particular case, what you can do is you can take a value of y is equal to x square and you take any values of x, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you calculate y is equal to x square, and then same way you take x is equal to 1 to 10, and for those respective you find out values of y, 10 values of y. This way you will make 10 xy pairs. Using those 10 xy pairs, you draw a graph of line. So all those 10 points, if you join, you will get a line. In terms of parabola, all those 10 points, if you start joining, it will be a graph. And now if you have seen, these two graphs have intersected at this point. In this case, x coordinate is -5, and this is a second point, which is x coordinate is 1. Here you see 1, 1.00. So based on graph, answer to the solution is 1 and -5. So two possible values of this equation are 1 and -5. Now if you want to verify that, see here, x is equal to -5. It has used algebraic method also, and it has solved. X is equal to -5 or x is equal to 1. So this is the way graphical method is used to solve the sum. Now let's take a look at another graph. Alright, let's look at this graph. Same way, equation is transformed into y is equal to x square and y is equal to 0x minus -625 by 64. You draw the graph, find out the intersection. You got the intersection, which is -3.125 and 3.125. So this is what is graphical method. And this is the way you solve sums using graphical method. Now let's go back to concepts again. But before that, let's take a 1-minute break. Understand this, read this screen, find out how you can derive these equations into two graph equations. Okay, now let's get back to second concept. Now there are algebraic method. Let's talk about factorization method. Now if you look at line number 9 and line number 10, factorization method. In this method, what you need to do? Basically, what you need to do is, in this method, you have to find out two numbers. How you want? What is the nature of these numbers? You have to find out two numbers in such a way that the product of these two numbers, look at the line number 10, n1 into n2 is equal to a into c, that is coefficient a and coefficient and constant c, and sum of those two numbers has to be equal to b. Once you do this, then you can rewrite that bx as n1x plus n2x. And once you have written that equation that way, it becomes ax square plus or minus n1x plus or minus n2x plus or minus c is equal to 0. And once you do that, then using factorization, you can find out x minus some constant into x minus some constant is equal to 0. Now what does this, how does this help? Anything multiplied by 0 is equal to 0, you know. So in this case, either this bracket will be 0 or this second bracket will be 0. So if you assume that first bracket is equal to 0, then you will get x is equal to some constant. Same way, there will be x is equal to some constant for this second bracket. This is the way you will be finding out two values of x. You have to remember to find this out n1 and n2. This way, your table should be very good. Your table memorization has to be very good. You have to remember this table thoroughly, then only you can solve these sums very quickly. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to find this n1 and n2 number in case of a into c is a bigger number. So again, one more time, please remember that you have to memorize tables in this case. So now let's take a look at how to solve this factorization sum. Okay, in this case, let's use example number 8. Alright, now in this case, let us see how it has solved this particular equation. It has given you answer here. Let's not get into that answer. Let's look at the steps directly. Now this is a factorization method which we are using. Let me scroll it up. Alright, now you see on the screen, look at step number 9 up to step number 23. As I said, in this case, equation is 2x square plus 16x plus 30 is equal to 0. So what are the coefficients? A is equal to 2, B is equal to 16, C is equal to 30, and A into C is equal to 60. Look at step number 12. Alright. After that, on right hand side, you see, this is just a hint which table it used. It has used 6 into 1, table of 6. So 6 into 10 is equal to 60 and 6 plus 10 is equal to 16. So your B is 16, 6 plus 10. 6 into 10, 60, A into C is equal to 60. You found the two numbers. So once you found these two numbers, n1 is equal to 10, n2 is equal to 6, you have rewritten this equation. 2x square plus 10x plus 6x plus 30 is equal to 0, step number 18. Then you have step number 19. What happened? You have taken 2x common. So now this equation reads, look at the step number 19, 2x into bracket 1x plus 5, 6 is common, 6 into bracket 1x plus 5. So this equation become 2x plus 6 into bracket 1x plus 5, which is equal to 0. What does that mean? As I mentioned, either 2x plus 6 is equal to 0 or x plus 5 is equal to 0. That step I have missed here, but in future sheet I will include that step. And since 2x plus 6 is equal to 0, x is equal to minus 6 divided by 2 and x is equal to minus 5 by 1, which is x is equal to minus 3, x is equal to minus 5. So this is the way it has solved this quadratic equation using factorization method. So what is the key here? Finding out these two numbers. n1 into n2 is equal to AC and n1 plus n2 is equal to B. Fantastic. So this is the way we solve equation using factorized method. Now let's go back to factorization again. Now before we talk about next method, before that there are some sums, properties of roots. Look at this equation. Now what are these properties of root? Remember, I explained you in the concept. What did I say? There are three possible values of the x. What are those possible? There are no values, that is one possibility. There is only one value, that is second possibility. Or there are two values, which is third possibility. Alright. So how do you get these properties? How do you determine without solving an equation? So there is a way to determine these properties after looking at discriminant. Now if you look at the formulas, you will see what is discriminant. Discriminant is equal to b square minus 4ac. If you look at this equation here, alpha is equal to minus b plus b square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a, or beta is equal to minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. Now how these three possibilities work. Now let's look at the first possibility. B square minus 4ac is a positive number. And if that case, then minus b plus that square root of positive number, or minus b minus of same square root of number. You have two possible values. So that is the reason you get two possible values of x. So when b square minus 4ac is greater than 0, then you get two possible x values. That is what given in this properties. Now, if b square minus 4ac is 0, then roots are equal. What does that mean? There is only one possible value. Why? Because square root of 0 is 0. So minus b plus 0 or minus b minus 0. It is going to be minus b. That is the reason there is only one possible value. Now, if b square minus 4ac is less than 0, what happens? Now remember here, square of any number is always positive. What is the square of 2? 2 into 2 is equal to 4. It's positive. What is the square of minus 2? Minus 2 into minus 2 plus, which is equal to 4. So square number can never ever be negative. So what does that mean? If b square minus 4ac is a negative number, square root of negative number is not possible. It is imaginary, because you find out square root of a square, and square can never be negative. So that is the reason your third property is, if square root, if the discriminant delta, that is b square minus 4ac, is less than 0, then roots are not real. These are imaginary numbers. Now in terms of graph, how do they look? So let's look at the property sums. Now choose the question number 4. All right. Now in this question number, the discriminant delta is equal to 5 square root of 15. Did you see this? Which is greater than 0. That is the reason roots. Okay, what mistake I made here? Okay, it's a negative number, minus 375. My mistake. It's minus 5 square root of 15. And since it is a negative number, delta is less than 0, roots are not real. Okay, now let's take a look at its graph. Did you see? This is a graph and this is a line. They are not going to intersect anywhere. So this is imaginary. There is no solution for this equation. Now same way, take a look at number 5. In this case, discriminant is equal to 0. What does that mean? That means there is only one possible value. Let's take a look at the graph. There it is, single point. All right. Then you go to third example, which is, here it is. Discriminant delta is equal to 4, which is greater than 0. So roots are real and not equal. Let's take a look at graph. See here, graphs are intersecting. So once again, these are the properties of the root which are determined based on value of discriminant, which is b square minus 4ac. Take a look at it. If delta is less than 0, roots are not real. If delta is equal to 0, roots are real and equal. If delta is equal to 0, greater than 0, roots are real and not equal. So in this kind of sum, you have to only calculate b square minus 4ac and state the property of that equation. All right. Okay. Now let's go back to again concepts. Before we get into concepts, let's look at formula method. In formula method, there is nothing I have to explain it to you. In formula method, basically what you are doing is directly using formulas. So now let's take a look at. So what are your formulas? Here. How do you calculate alpha and beta? Now so far you have understood discriminant delta is equal to b square minus 4ac. Look at that formula. Okay. And look at this formula. Alpha is equal to minus b plus square root of discriminant divided by 2a, and beta is equal to minus b minus square root of delta divided by 2a. You can see those formulas here on the screen also. All right. Now let's see how it has solved that sum using formula method. Let us not worry about anything else. Let's jump to formula method. Here it is, formula method. In this case, equation is 1x square plus 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. Look at step number 26 to step number 31. That is the reason discriminant delta is equal to b square minus 4ac, which is 8 8s are 64, minus 60, which is equal to 4. So discriminant is 4, which is greater than 0. And what is the equation of first root, which is alpha, or the first value of x? Alpha is equal to, if you look at step 29, alpha is equal to minus b plus square root of discriminant divided by 2a. So in this case, alpha is equal to minus 8 plus 2 divided by 2, which is minus 3. Minus 6 divided by 2 is equal to minus 3, and same way minus 8 minus 2 is minus 10 divided by 2, which is minus 5. So there are two possible values of x. X is equal to minus 3 or x is equal to minus 5. So this is the way you use formula and solve the sum. Pretty straightforward. Just remember these formulas properly and simply use A, B, C values and then solve the sum. You're done. So this is your formula method. Now let's go back to square method. But before that, let me explain you square method. All right. Now in square method, the technique is you convert this equation ax square plus bx plus c in the form of x plus b whole square. Now look at the line number 13 to line number 29. All right. So basically what you have to do is you have to convert this ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 into x plus b whole square is equal to x square plus 2bx plus b square. How do you do that? See here. Pay attention. Ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 is your original equation. Now you want to get rid of a and you want to keep only x square because we want equation x square plus 2bx plus b square. So you divide entire equation by a. So line number 15, equation becomes x square plus b by ax plus c by a is equal to 0. Wonderful. We have removed the coefficient. Then this particular equation, you multiply the middle term, the b part, with 2 by 2. Anything 2 by 2 is 1. Anything is multiplied by 1 is same value. So here only the middle part is multiplied by 2 by 2. So now this equation reads, if you look at 16, 2 by 2 b by ax. Now we want to convert it into 2bx. So how do you do that? So look at the line number 17, x square plus 2 into bracket b by 2ax plus c by a is equal to 0. So you took the 2 out and the denominator 2 you left it with b by 2a. So now this equation reads x square plus 2 into bracket something x plus c by a. Here that equation got converted into x square plus 2bx plus b square. So now here, if you replace b by 2a with b, your equation reads x square plus 2bx minus c by plus c by a is equal to 0. Now you want x square plus 2bx plus b square. So what here you have done in line number 19, c by a, which was on the left hand side, you moved it to right. So it became 0 minus c by a. Wonderful. So now Up to here we are good. X square plus 2bx is equal to 0 minus c by a. Now we want, look at the line number 13, we want plus b square. So what you do is you add b square on both the sides. Look at line number 20. So now that equation reads x square plus 2bx plus b square, which is equal to b square minus c by a, because we added b square on both the sides. Fantastic. You got the equation. X square plus 2bx plus b square is equal to b square minus c by a. Now what is x square plus 2bx plus b square? It is nothing but a square of x plus b. So left hand side now you can write as x plus b whole square is equal to b square minus c by a. Now if you take a square root of both the sides, you get square root of x plus b whole square is equal to x plus b. And square root of right hand side is square root of b square minus c by a. You are done. You got single x on left hand side. So now if you shift that plus b on the right hand side, look at line number 23, it reads x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus c by a. So there are two possible values, minus b plus square root of b square minus c by a, or minus b minus square root of b square by c by a. So there are two possible values of x. So here key is transform that equation into x plus b whole square equation. Alright. And since we had assumed here in line number 19, capital B is equal to b by 2a, your real values of x are, if you replace b, x is equal to, look at line number 27, x is equal to minus b by 2a plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac upon 4a square. If you simplify that further, you get square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. You got it? Alright. Now you know b square minus 4ac is what? Delta, the discriminant. So your final value is x is equal to minus b plus square root of delta divided by 2a, or x is equal to minus b minus square root of delta by 2a. So now here you have seen how square method can be used to solve the sum, and also how alpha beta formula is also derived using this very same method. So now let's take a look at the sum. I hope you understood this. Let's go to factorization. Let's choose sum number 9. Alright, now let's take a look at it, how it has solved the sum. Square method, where is perfect square method? Now here our sum is, look at last step numbers 37 to step number 50. 9x square minus 12x plus 2 is equal to 0. A is equal to 9, b is equal to minus 12, c is equal to 2, a into c is equal to 18. Alright, now transform this x square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 in the form of x plus b whole square. Now, here what I want to tell you is, I have not directly substituted values of a and b here and then solved with substituted value, because you don't have to keep doing this computation 10 times. You can simply show this same generic derivation which I have shown you in concept, how you derived up to x is equal to plus or minus square root of c minus b, or plus or minus square root of c minus b. Here c is b square minus 4ac upon 4a square. And then once you derive this, then you straight away substitute values of a and b, and then you calculate value of x. So in this case, this capital C which I have shown you is nothing but b square minus 4ac upon 4a square. So ask your teacher whether they expect you to put the values of a by b from step number 41 onwards and keep showing all these steps with substituted constant values, or you can show the generic formula how you have derived x is equal to plus or minus square root of c minus b, or square root of c minus plus b, and then the square root of c is nothing but look at step number 45 is C is b square minus 4ac upon 4a square, which is square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. So this is the way sums are solved using square method. I hope you understood square method. Okay, let's go back to factorization again. Now, so we have covered graph method, we have covered formula method, we have looked at properties, we have looked at square method. Now come back to last type of sum, assumed x. What does that mean? Now if you look at, now let me straight away show you the steps. What do you mean by you have to assume x? Alright, okay, let's go to the top of the screen. Do you see what is your equation here? Your equation here is, look at the step 1. Your equation here is square root into x square plus 7x plus 5 square root of 2 is equal to 0. Now, here, if you try to use any multiplication with square root of 2, your life will be difficult. Those multiplications will be complicated, divisions will be complicated. You cannot just straight away use square root of 2 and divide or multiply. You have to, so you cannot do factorization. It will be difficult to use a square method also with this kind of a method. So that is the reason, to make the life easy, we have to get rid of this square root of 2 and convert this equation into ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 in such a way that a, b and c becomes an integer and not the square root of 2. So how do you do that? What is the trick here? Now pay attention. Look at the step number 2. What we have done here, since square root of 2 is giving you trouble, if any square root, if you multiply it by itself, you get an integer, right? Square root of 2 into square root of 2 is 2. That is square root of 2 square. So what you have to do is, your first step is you multiply this equation with square root of 2. So now in step number 2, what has happened? Square root of 2 into square root of 2, which is square of square root of 2. So read it as square root of 2 square into x square plus 7 into square root of 2x plus 5 into square root of 2 square root of 2 is equal to 0. Fantastic. Now we can get rid of square root of 2. So now here what has happened? The square root of 2 into square root of 2 x square is nothing but square of square root of 2 into x whole square. So what you have to do here is, let us assume that capital X is equal to square root of 2 into x. Look at the right hand side in step number 2. Or you can say you assumed that x is equal to x upon square root of 2, or x is equal to x square root of 2. Now, since we assumed x is equal to x square root of 2, this equation become capital X square, because this is a square root of 2 into x whole square. So you can simply rewrite it as capital X square. Same way here, square root of 2x is capital X. So you have written 7x, and 5 square root of 2 into square root of 2 is 5 into 2, which is equal to 10. So your equation got converted into a normal ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 equation. Now in this case, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 7 and c is equal to 10, and your variable is capital X. Now you use the same method to solve the quadratic equation. Now in this case it has solved, and then ultimately it found answer as x is equal to, let me show you, and it has found answer x is equal to minus 3 by 2 or x is equal to minus 7 by 2. That is, x is equal to minus 2 or x is equal to minus 5. But our original x was small x, and that small x was equal to x upon square root of 2, because we have assumed it. So your final value of small x is equal to minus 2 divided by square root of 2, and final value of small x is minus 5 by square root of 2. So the key here is transform your equation in such a way that your ABC becomes integer. And to do that, you multiply that equation with the square root, which is giving you trouble. So doing that, you eliminate that particular square root. That's it. So this is your assumed x method. I hope you have understood this, how to solve this quadratic equation using this video. Next, what you can do is download this spreadsheet and look at all the sums, how they are solved, and look at necessary steps, how they have solved, 10 ways, and then you're done. Fantastic. Another thing, important thing which I wanted to tell you is this particular quadratic equation is in SSC board, Maharashtra State Board. So please give this spreadsheet to all those Maharashtra State Board Marathi medium students or English medium students who are there in remote places. Give them these spreadsheets, give it to schools, give it to libraries, and let them use these 100 examples to learn themselves how to solve the quadratic equation. See, there are so many examples here. I hope you understood this particular quadratic equation session and you enjoyed it. And now, good luck to you. I hope you will be able to solve quadratic equation from now onwards. Thanks for listening. Bye bye for now.